I will never forget the words of my parents at any time they were able to come to campus during first year move-in. Karina, tu escuela se mira como castillos. WashU by far has been one of the nicest places that I have ever been lucky to call home. And while I was hesitant to come to the Midwest from what I believe, and like many Texans believe, the greatest state ever, I am so grateful that I decided to make WashU in St. Louis my second home. The truth of the matter, though, is that the people, from my friends to those that I have never met, truly made being a WashU student so much better. For me, my sense of belonging to the greater WashU Latinx community was a struggle at first. Being Salvadoran American continues to be an identity that I consider one of the most crucial in my life. So when I got to campus, I felt happy that I could spot other Latinx-friendly faces, but not many that I could get excited over all the Salvadoran gems that many don't know about, especially when not all cultures are represented as heavily on campus. However, I appreciate it when the Association of Latin American Students, ALAS, and Alpha Psi Lambda, ASI, would bring the cultural items that almost everyone gets excited about, from conchas and pan dulce to candy to tamales and the famous jarritos and abuelita hot chocolate. These always came at the right time when I was missing home. When the quesadillas or taco salads from Bon Appetit, no matter where you were on campus, weren't suffice, the trips to the few predominantly authentic Mexican restaurants, yes, emphasis on the authentic, were a reminder that even though in the greater WashU and St. Louis region we aren't many, our unity always pulls through every single time. I loved how even though being Latinx can look so different for every single one of us, I felt most at home when I was surrounded by fellow Latinx students who could share some common identities. Whether it was complaining about the butchered up accents of those learning Spanish in our Spanish classes, to being one of the few people in classes that felt the pressure to educate others when ignorant statements, although not many, were said in class, it only made our bond stronger. Being thrown in an environment like WashU, where many people don't look like you and don't share the same cultural appreciation, can be disheartening, but the community kept me grounded and kept me coming back. From the early days in the ALAS meetings to Club Caliente nights to everything in between, as we kept growing in our time here at WashU, I found myself being more and more comfortable holding all my identities on the same tier. I was not only a WashU student from Houston, but I was also a student who was proud of her roots. And even if my accent came out on the occasional words with friends or professors, this was only a statement to show that I wasn't going to hide my Latinidad anymore. However, it's not only my friends that I could share identities with that kept me grounded. It was also the interactions with those faculty and staff members that continue to be a source of inspiration. I will forever be grateful for the few Bon Appetit Latinx workers that I was able to, because in so many ways they reminded me of all the sacrifices that my parents are still making to this day for us to have a better life than they ever could back in El Salvador. Seeing their smiles when I would make the intentional choice of pronouncing the food that I was ordering, from the quesadillas to the occasional carnitas on my taco salads, a little more on the Spanish side than on the English side, meant that they could also feel visible and represented on the campus when many couldn't give them that opportunity. Seeing the workers who do all the landscaping work to make WashU as beautiful as it is goes unnoticed by many, but for me, when I had the time to walk slowly to class, I did, because it meant that I could sometimes tune into their conversations and basically tune into random little fun facts and everything else that only Latinx people could appreciate. Seeing Miss Maria from the housekeeping staff at Six House reminded me of my own mother, also named Maria, who cleaned houses for a living. And while these workers don't get the recognition that they deserve by most WashU students, I wanted to do it because they're part of the reason of why I was able to enjoy my time at WashU. The support didn't end here, though. It also came with professors who understood how the experience for their students of color could look different or look similar in many ways to their own experiences. Thank you for being an ally who gets it and that understands that being Latinx at WashU comes with other responsibilities that may not be visible all the time. Thank you to my friends that got it when I was tired of speaking English and slipped in the occasional Spanish so I could get it more than just in talking to my parents. Thank you to my ASI familia for showing me that there was another way for me to connect to my roots and feel more integrated with the greater WashU Latinx community, because without you all coming into my life junior year, the last 2 years of my time here would have not been as amazing as it has been thus far. From the more lighthearted moments, such as having double the memes to laugh about, to bonding over the new Latin hits that would be replayed way too often at every single WashU social event, to the more heavy moments, such as backing up and defending the rights of our undocumented hermanos y hermanas in the ever-rising complex immigration dynamic of our country. The Latinx class of 2020 really pulled through on every occasion. If there's one thing I want you all to take away, it's to never forget where you come from. Be intentional about everything, and if all else fails, remember that you are the product of your parents' dreams. Many of our parents dreamed of having college-educated children, and here we are today due to their sacrifices and the collective unit cheering us on through all the hard times. There is no one way to show off your Latinx roots, but continue to ensure that if it's something of importance to you, to keep growing in this pride, because we all need a little more sazón in our lives at times. Be great, take care, y siguen adelante, porque nada es imposible. Thank you.
Hello to all the Latinx, Latin American, and allied graduates. It is an honor for me to be chosen to address you in your graduation. I am very sorry it has to be done in these unusual circumstances from home. You can see that I have my research library on the back, and my wife is keeping my dog in the living room so she doesn't interrupt what I have to tell you. It has always been very meaningful to me to be a professor for all of you in this university. Our community has evolved for many years to becoming much, much larger with time. When I was hired in 2006, there was a very enthusiastic and very strong but very small population of students, and now every single year the group of graduates keeps growing and growing and growing. It is sad for me to not see how large the group is this year in person, but I am definitely certain that this is the largest group we've ever had. We're facing a very unpredictable world, and you're graduating from your different programs into that. So you're going to pursue all kinds of careers, and some of them are going to be more difficult than others. We don't know what even the immediate future holds for any of us. But I think that the most important things about being a college graduate from the Latinx, Latin American community has not changed. The United States has a growing population, and we're facing very, very important challenges. The most vulnerable of us are dealing with a system that exercises violence over migrants. Being undocumented or documented becomes much more difficult as the time goes by. Even people who have done things right, currently green cards are on hold. We don't know how much our community is going to have to fight to continue to support those of us who are still on immigration pathways. It is also true that for those of us who have the privilege to have a college and a graduate education, our duty to our community has grown further. We know in the coronavirus epidemic that Latinx and Latin American people are facing some of the most harrowing rates of death. We know that some Latin American countries are struggling with the epidemic. And in some cases it is because of political reasons, from Central American countries dealing with deportees that have the disease, to governments like the one in Brazil that have refused to even engage the problem in the first place. At the same time, it is also true that there's a world to be coming after this, and there are many things and many needs that are going to happen. We're going to have to continue the struggle for the representation of our community in all aspects of life, for the recognition of our arts and culture and our heritages, for the advancement of our place in American society, for better and more complex relationships between the United States and Latin America. There's going to be a time for dealing with the economic and social and cultural fallouts of this uncertain situation. So your generation, and this is the hopeful part, is going to be well placed to take a leading role in the future to come. Even at the worst, crisis eventually open up spaces for struggle and for opportunity. And alongside with the enormous pain that it's causing, there will be many ways in which society and the world will call you. I am very confident, having known many of you, that you will be ready to undertake this challenge, and that many years down the road, I'm going to look at your careers and your trajectories, your lives, your mobilizations, your activisms, and I'm going to be very proud of you. Thank you very much for all the time, for all the work that you did in college. It has been an honor to educate you. I wish you the best. You are one of the prize of all of us in the faculty. Please know that we're always here for you, that you can reach back even years down the road to your professors, your colleagues, the staff of the university. All of us will be happy to hear from you and help you in every way we can. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget that you are the leaders and the privileged among a very complex community, and that comes with privileges and with obligations.